Hi, and welcome to 10 in 10, LinkedIn live chat sessions with inspiring storytellers from Thrive with Mentoring, soon to be published book. I'm Lalita Vaidyanath, co editor of the book, and I'm very happy to have here with me Allison Lerma, our regional lead and a very, very inspiring storyteller. Allison has also driven several projects at Thrive, which I'm sure she's going to tell us all about. But before that, Allison, would you like to share a few words about yourself?
Thanks, Lalita. Really excited about today and to have this conversation with you. Yes, so I've been part of Thrive for about 5 years now. I'm sure we'll get into some of the questions as we go along, but in essence, I kind of started on the more of a traditional track. So I started as a mentee, then became a mentor, then started doing some special projects like the awards, and have done also some different projects like around mentor logs and She Thrives that were kind of new ideas that we wanted to try out during different parts of Thrive. And so currently I'm a regional lead in charge of Switzerland, and then sometimes we do another country. So I did Nairobi last year in Kenya, which was amazing. And this year I'm going to start working in the EMCC certification. So going a bit more back to the project work at the end of the year.
Wow, that's really impressive, Alison. That's a whole lot of things that you've done. And in
Yes,
the
and
midst of
that's
that, in the
just
midst
in
of
my volunteer time, right? That's I also have a full-time job. I work at Roche as a community engagement manager.
fantastic. And in the midst of that, you've written a story as well, don't forget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a
Yeah.
very fun adventure.
Yeah. It's
Never
great to
thought that
chat
I
with
would,
you.
yeah, I never thought that I would be involved in writing a book. So this has been an amazing experience. And thank you so much for helping to walk through it with us.
Yeah, I'm sure that all our readers are going to be looking forward to the book. All the stories are really inspiring, and what I particularly liked about your story, Alison, is the way you've been so committed to the cause of community building for women, for strengthening women, and to put it very basically, women's empowerment. You've been very, very passionate about that, and you've seen it through right from the spark of an idea that you had in your mind, and you went on to be part of Thrive, and you've given so much to Thrive. That's great.
Thank you. Yes, that's definitely my passion. Women
Yeah,
supporting women is in career development
absolutely.
specifically is my passion.
Yeah. Should we get on to the queries?
Sure, let's give it a try.
Yeah, sure. So, Alison, one word to summarize your story.
Hope. I think never giving up hope.
I agree with that. In fact, that was the quote that I had used for your title.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you go through lots of trials and tribulations, but always having that view and kind of where you want to get to at the end of the tunnel. I think that hope has really helped to keep my inspiration high and help to, yeah, get me through the tough times. So I think hope is a
Great.
very good way to
Yeah.
summarize it.
It's a very encouraging message that you're sending out to all our readers.
Thank you.
What motivated you to write the story?
I think we use the term vulnerability a lot, but we don't necessarily know how to practice it. And so for me to talk about actually getting fired and getting let go, I mean, that's a really difficult thing for me to talk about. And so I wanted to, even though it's been several years, I mean, it's been 12 years since then, and it's still kind of painful. And so I wanted to make it easier for other people to also talk about these difficult times in their career and in their life. And it doesn't define you, right? If anything, it makes you stronger. And so I just wanted to be able to share that and share a bit of vulnerability about myself that I really don't talk about, even with some of my closest friends. I think will be surprised to hear the story because I don't talk about it often. But I wanted to, exemplify what it means to be vulnerable and how you can really share these stories with other women who may
Okay,
be going through something
nice.
similar.
That's interesting. In fact, I think I mentioned to you, I really like the candor with which you've written your story. It's
Yes,
very
I write.
honest.
I write like I talk, so very informal.
Right. So, are you excited about seeing your story in print in a book? And are you
Absolutely.
waiting to just pick it off the bookshelf?
Yes, I'm going to buy it for all of my friends and family. This is going to be the Christmas present of the year. No, I'm super excited. I never thought, I mentioned to you in my wildest dreams, I never thought that I would be part of writing a book. It was never something I thought that would happen. And so I'm really excited and I can't wait to see it in print.
Yeah. That's the thing about Thrive, the opportunities it brings.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
the Thrive as an organization, but also the women I interact with and the women I meet are constantly pushing me out of my comfort zone, which is an amazing thing in a nice
Yeah.
way, right? Not in a difficult way, but definitely pushing me to try new things and be better, take things to the next level. So I do love that about Thrive.
Great. So, what did you feel while writing the story?
Kind of a whole host of emotions. I think there's some of the old feelings, like I said, of failure and all of these really challenging emotions of a very difficult time in my life. But then going through the story and talking about the women I've met and the way I've kind of gone back to my purpose of really trying to support other women to be successful, then that definitely ends it on a positive note. But so probably I've gone through the whole host of emotions through writing this piece.
Right. I think for that, there's a round of applause to you.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Because there's one thing that you held on to, and that was your hope, your positivity and optimism, and that really comes shining through.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
So, what's the best part of your story?
Best part of my story. Um, I think it was the first time I also got to kind of explore in a bit more detail, like why I think women to women mentoring is so special. So I think that's kind of an interesting piece of it. We talk a lot about it on the surface, but I really did do some introspection of like, but why? What is it? What is that secret sauce that makes women mentoring so impactful, and why has it been so impactful for me? So I think that's kind of a fun part of the story that you get to understand a little bit more of that insight.
Great. Yeah, I can see that in your book, in your story. It's there. I really love that part. In fact, I would think, yeah, I loved all parts of your story, and the best part of your story, as you just articulated it now. Perfect. Moving on to queries about yourself, Alison. One word to describe yourself.
Hmm. I think resilience is definitely one that comes up, and probably one you've heard before. But I'm pretty resilient as far as if I want something or want to go after something, I'm really going to keep at it until it happens. I was thinking determined or resilient, but there's definitely yeah, I have a strong drive, and if I want something, I'm going to continue at it for until I reach
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Like the way you went after this, the way you went after your passion to be there as part of that zone where you wanted to do something for women
Hmm.
and part of a community of women and give them support. That I think definitely smacks of resilience.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
as I tried it a bit on my own, couldn't quite get it to work out the way I wanted to, and then found Thrive, which was an organization that kind of gave me that piece of it that I was really looking for. So yeah, I think that's a great example. It might not always look how I think it's going to look, but the underlying, sense of what I want to accomplish is there, and I always work hard until I get there.
Great. Surely, a round of applause to you for that. Yeah. So, what would you say is your superpower?
My superpower, well, so I say it in my way that isn't so eloquent, which is that getting people to do things they don't necessarily want to do. But I would say influencing without authority is the nice way to say it.
It is. It
So
is.
yes, I mean, I love to work with teams. I love to create a team. I think I'm quite good at identifying what people are good at, even if they might not know it themselves. I have a little bit of an intuition about what part of a team someone will be really good at, and so I really enjoy putting together teams and working to accomplish something. So even if they don't report to me or we even work in the same group, I usually can bond a team together and get us excited about working on a project together.
Yeah, in fact, I think the fact that you drove an initiative like She Thrives in
Hmm.
the at the height of the pandemic is an example of what you're referring to right now, because it's
Yeah.
all about supporting women during the pandemic. And I think She Thrives was something that you shaped and you took forward. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think
Yeah.
we noticed during the pandemic that there were different issues that were facing women, maybe disproportionately. So, I mean, domestic violence went on the rise. Also, women were struggling to maintain their the household, their families. They were still, caregivers and having to work at the same time. So there was a lot of additional stress that was really impacting women. And that isn't what we typically focus on, but we saw the need and we created a program really about that. How can we really help women with their unique problems that they may be facing? And so it ended up being quite a small cohort, but I think we had some amazing speakers, like I said, all the way from, really difficult topics around domestic violence to how do you maintain yourself, your self-care, and how can you best, if you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of your family? So really trying to help women to have some tools and some inspiration as well to take care of themselves so that they could better show up for their family and for their jobs. So, yeah, it was an amazing program that really targeted a specific issue, specific issues and topics that were affecting women during the pandemic.
Yeah, in fact, unfortunately, the domestic violence was so much on the rise at that time. Very, very unfortunate. And I think initiatives like this, like She Thrives, definitely gave women, when affected, in that group, it would have given them hope, it would have given them courage. So, kudos to you for initiating that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not a topic we typically dive into, but we had some amazing speakers from, I mean, from Israel, from the UK, from, all from, I think also from from Asia. I mean, we had women from, and this was something that was impacting women across the board, regardless of socioeconomics. I mean, it was on the rise as a whole. And so it was great that
Yeah,
we could have
it
a panel
was
discussion with some resources and, some ways that people can identify and also can help.
great. Um, so, the theme of our book is unstoppable, Alison, as you know. So, what makes you as a storyteller and as an individual unstoppable?
Well, I mentioned a bit about my resilience and determination, but I
Right.
think also that I do have the kind of bravery to tell a story that maybe is challenging for me. And so obviously we all have our own journeys and our own challenges, but this was something that was really difficult for me, and I'm just really proud of the fact that I had the bravery to tell the story. And hopefully it will inspire other women to talk about things as well. I always feel like if we can talk about things, then we can work together on them. But if we keep them bottled up and keep them inside, then we can't help each other. So I think that's one of the ways I try to be unstoppable, is to push past my fears and my barriers and talk about the things that maybe are challenging.
That's wonderful. And that really comes through in your story. The candor, like I mentioned earlier, it's amazing. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of women will find it very encouraging. Messages like this, stories like yours, they will find it definitely inspiring.
I hope so. And I hope it just gives us, it can open the dialogue, right? Can open the
Yes.
discussion.
Moving on to queries about Thrive. What do you think Thrive stands for?
Women empowering other women. So that's, for me, that's it. That's what it's all about, is women supporting other women. So obviously there's a big career focus and career lens, but I think it's really supporting women holistically. So helping them to be their complete self and really show up in every engagement they have as a whole person, and not trying to segment, oh, this is my work self, this is my home self, this is my maybe my thrive self, but how do we really show up holistically and support each other to do that?
Yeah. We all have each other's backs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, if you were to mentor your younger self, Alison, what would your message be?
think there definitely would be a theme about this holistic self, because I was definitely one of those people that had a very segmented, like my work, from 9 to 5, I was one person. Then in my personal life, I was one person with my family. So I really had this segmented self, and that was very difficult and very exhausting after a while. So I would say definitely having just just one self makes things so much easier. um, and I think also just to be curious and stay in that curiosity and not get hung up on perfection. So I think that was another thing I did a lot in my early career. I'd be so paralyzed about trying to make something perfect, which of course you can never reach perfection. So being more curious and asking questions and doing a first draft and getting inputs, I think I'm much more collaborative now, and willing to share things early on. And so I think that would have helped a lot. And I would have been able to accomplish more faster if I would have not tried to reach this perfection.
Okay, great. It's okay to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best part of being, since your journey has covered so many aspects, in Thrive, the best part about being a mentee, regional lead.
I think the best part of being a regional lead is I just get to experience so many different cohorts, which is amazing. So I get to travel all around Switzerland and see, even with such a small country, there's really diverse. I mean, Zurich is very different than Basel, and Lausanne has a totally different vibe. So that's always really fun to see the different groups of women and get to know people from all over. And then, of course, Kenya and Nairobi was completely, another new adventure. So I think getting to meet so many people and be involved and share what's working well in one cohort with another, so kind of be that connection point, is also really, really inspiring to see how, you can take something that someone else has done, tweak it a little bit, make it relevant for that community, and get to see how well that works. So I really enjoyed that piece of it.
Okay. Making new connections, opening up new arena, getting into new arena. I guess all this.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then obviously, yeah, thrive as a thrive as a community in and of itself. I think I've mentioned. I mean, we're always trying something new. We're trying a new angle, a new group of women to target, a new way to reach them better. So that always keeps me on my toes and really gets my entrepreneurial spirit going. So I love that piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that, there's always something new bubbling in Thrive. And I think
Absolutely,
a
always.
lot of it has to do with Shivangi's energy and enthusiasm. And I think it's a wonderful thing to have. So many things happening at the same time.
And Shivangi always pushes us, right? Always has a new
Yeah.
idea, always pushes us to
Yeah.
try something maybe we haven't tried before, but also of course gives us the support and what we need to make it happen. But I do love that. It's definitely not stagnant. It's not boring for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And on that note, I think this conversation has kind of wrapped up the queries that I was wanting to ask you. If there's anything else that you would like to add,
No, I mean, look for the book. It's going to be. I think of it a little bit as like the chicken soup for the soul. Those books. It's a little bit like that, but with this like
yeah,
focus on women, supporting women, and mentorship. So these are really inspiring stories that you can read as one-offs, or you can read the whole thing together. But it's going to be super inspiring book, and I can't wait to
yeah,
get it in print.
chicken soup for mentors and mentees.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I think we've got the link right there, but we're looking also for investment. I mean, we are a nonprofit, right? Maybe I'm sure you'll
message.
mention this, but we all volunteer our time. So any support that anyone can provide is super helpful. We really appreciate that.
Great. Thank you so much, Allison. It was wonderful speaking with you. Thank you so much. Lots of love.
Thanks, Lolita.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Great to connect with you here. Before we wind up, just a small message about our book. Please support our campaign and help to share the message and be part of it. Share it with your network so that we can market this book, get it printed, get it published, put it out there in the bookshelves so that more and more women read it and are inspired by stories from people like Allison who have been so forthright and who've had such a wonderful journey to share. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.